How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be on how to wheelie your snowmobile, how to set it up to wheelie, how to actually wheelie it, the things you can buy to make it wheelie better, all that fun stuff. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty, so let's get to it. Okay, the main concept for snowmobiles and wheelies and stuff like that is the shorter the track, the better the wheelie. If you have an 850, 137, it's going to be a lot better at wheeling than a 155, 800. It's a given. Don't get that wrong though, like most sleds will wheelie as long as you set it up right and stuff like that. So let's get into it. Alrighty, first things first, I'd like to get into the free stuff and what you can do just to kind of set your sled up to wheelie rather than the things you can buy. So, okay, first thing I want to dive into is your suspension setup. So as you can see, there's two shocks in your track, your front track shock and your rear track shock. You generally want to keep your front track shock as hard as you can without it being obviously ridiculously hard. And you want your rear track shock to be as soft as you can. And what that allows is for your track to kind of shoot up on top of the snow, which in turns creates ski lifts. So you want to kind of look at your service manual and see what, the hardest you can go and the softest you can go without it being too much out of whack. So let's jump to the front. Okay, now for the ski shocks. You want these to be as hard as you possibly can without obviously being too hard. I have clickers. If I really want to wheelie, I'll set these as hard as they possibly can. That way it keeps your front end, like, if you think about it, you're wheeling from this position versus if you have it soft, your front end kind of stays down and it sits and it goes straight, right? It doesn't want to lift. Versus if you have your sled like this already at like a little bit of an angle, your sled's going to want to lift, right? So if you set these a little bit harder, that'll help your front end stay a little bit up and help with that ski lift. Okay, next thing I want to touch on is your limiter straps. Generally, you want to loosen your limiter straps off as much as you possibly can. These newer Polarises, I know you actually can't loosen your limiter straps. They don't have adjustable limiter straps. I'm not 100% sure about other brands, Ski-Doo, Arctic, all those ones. What you actually need is you need an anti-stab kit, which puts bogey wheels on this front shaft, because if you give the front of this a little bit too much movement, it'll actually stab into the front of your track, which obviously is not going to be a fun day. So you have to get an anti-stab kit. I think they're about 160 bucks Canadian, something like that. I'll put it up on the screen just to show you guys. Okay, the next couple things I want to talk about are actually how to wheelie your sled, your body positioning, all that fun stuff when you're actually out on the snow. I'm going to use a couple of my GoPro clips and I'm going to use a couple videos from my buddy Jake. He's a great snowmobile wheelier. So yeah, let's start breaking her down. Okay, first things first is body positioning. You want to have your feet as far as you physically can back on the running boards. I've seen guys kind of stand up on their tunnel and their bags and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I feel like it's a little bit rough on the top. That's pretty thin aluminum right there, and you actually have your radiator right there. So I like to put my feet as far back as possible. If I even gotta give my body a little bounce right as I crack that throttle, that's what I gotta do. You just want to transfer as much weight from the front to the back as you physically can, and then you don't want to immediately panic and start leaning forward. You want to try to lean and kind of hang off those bars. Those bars, as long as they're set right, they can handle it. They'll be perfectly fine. So you want to basically hang as much physical weight as you can off the back once you're in the wheelie to kind of hold it. Once you're up in the wheelie, you'll actually want to feather it a little bit. If you're really getting up there and you're able to hold it, once you get to that point, you'll be able to feather it and kind of so you're not holding your sled wide open for absolutely ever. So you'll want to be able to feather it. Body position, you want to have your body position all the way back, transfer as much weight as you physically can. The next thing I like to do is I like to actually blip the throttle right before I wheelie and actually kind of set the track into the snow and kind of get it buried a little bit. And, if you're a little bit deeper with the track, it'll kind of try to submarine up and it'll try to shoot up out of the snow, which will in turn create ski lift. So that's a little trick that I've kind of always done to kind of help make the wheelies a little bit easier. Okay, let's jump into the things that you can buy for your sled if you actually want to drop some coin on it. So first thing I can think of is the anti-stab kit. That's going to make it so you can adjust your limiter straps. Next big thing would be a big wheel kit. And if you look at your back bogey wheels here, they aren't that big. So by increasing this size, it actually creates a lot less drag of your track. Your sled has a lot of horsepower as it sits. A lot of that loss is from your clutch, your drive cog, and your track kind of going around your rails. So if you can free up some of that space, that'll be ultimately the best, and you'll be able to free up some of that horsepower. So that'll actually in turn make it wheelie better. And obviously just having a better angle on this rear will actually make it wheelie a little bit better as well. So a big wheel kit, an anti-stab kit, and that's kind of all I would touch for the track wise. So let's go up to the front. Next big thing you can buy for your sled is a gear down kit. I actually have a gear down kit on my sled. I'm not exactly sure the specs on it, but I know it is geared down quite far, which will create more torque for your sled, which will obviously create more ski lift and make you wheelie better. So on to the next thing. Okay, the next thing will be a little controversial. I really like finger throttles for wheelies. It feels really good when you're in mid wheelie. It just creates more control while you're in mid wheelie, which obviously is going to make you be able to actually control the wheelie a lot better. I feel like I can feather it a little bit better mid wheelie. I don't know. It's just, this might be an uncommon opinion. If a guy wants to try a finger throttle, you can also flip it around and run it as a finger throttle if he doesn't like it. So that one is not a for sure thing going to make it, obviously wheelie better, but I genuinely like this. Okay, one last thing you can do is clutching, which will actually create more torque, which again, same with the gearing, will also create more ski lift. So that's another thing you can get. You can get a clutching kit and it'll open up some of that horsepower. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this video helps you guys get out there and do some massive wheelies. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm on the route to 500 subs. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a giveaway at 500 subs. Nothing crazy, just maybe a pair of goggles and a custom shirt or hoodie or something along those lines. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Shoot me a comment if you guys want to see some more, and see you later.